Hello and welcome to part 13 of the series. Now, one unfortunate thing to go through. I actually recorded a part 13 and saved it, and then I went to go and record a part 13.5, got halfway through and was interrupted by a phone call, and then realised that the recording software had been recording the entire desktop, of which comprises of two monitors instead of this single screen. So that was basically unusable footage. Unfortunately, I can't salvage that footage, but thankfully I didn't do a great deal. I just quit 13.5, so I didn't really do any of the things in there, so that's back to normal. So this is how it was at the end of what I recorded. I didn't do a great deal, but I'll just take you through what I actually did do. So I created a branch line from Drinley, and that went down here towards Drudwood. So I've created basically a branch line which goes around this mountain area. So I've noticed that there's quite a few towns and cities in this mountain kind of range here at the top of the map. So I've created a branch line through here, and yeah, basically it stops at a few small stations and goes to Luhatton, because eventually what I want to do is create a northern line across these towns here, because there's quite a lot of highly populated towns along the northern coast of the country. So that's going to be an eventual plan. Also, it could be a good idea in future to create a sparse branch line down this peninsula. But yeah, so that's what I did. I created this railway, which is serviced by 3 local trains, which use this siding here. And then I created 2 bus routes, which just go up the mountain to this quite large city here, Suntwood. So they are basically using that as well. So Drinley now has a bus network as well. Yeah, so that's all I did. What I wanted to do though, what I did in that video, is I did show you something new, which is here. So this is something that a lot of people have asked about in the previous videos. And this is how I create the metro maps that you maybe saw in my last series that I never actually arrived to finishing, unfortunately. But yeah, this is how I create the maps, which can obviously make it a little bit easier to visualize where you're actually building and what you've accomplished. So I'm going to give you a quick run through as to how this works. So basically this is just a single web address, which I'll link in the description. But all you have to do is go here, and this is just a tool which basically just lets you create maps. So if I refresh the page, this is the first thing you get up. It's just a example. Now on the left hand side you have your controls, so we can just create a new one. So click OK and it'll say yeah, we want to get rid of it. So we can create a route. We have an option to change the colours, so I can create that as my route colour. I can change this one to local line if I wanted to, and then I can just draw a route on here. So you can create curves, you can create offshoots and things like that. And then to add stations, you click on add station, and on the right hand side you get a set of controls, so you can choose where the text is located. So if I want it on the right hand side, I can click here and type in station alpha, and there we go. You can create interchange stations, interchange express, mega stations, so mega station X. You can create limited ones, so it gives you a good idea, a good range of tools to visualize what you're actually going to be doing. So obviously that one won't work, so I can undo that, put the text above it, limited station, and there you go. So when you want to save these, you can click on here. It'll give you code which you can copy, and over here you see I have this file which basically has all the code in for my map that I use for OpenTTD. So all I do is literally I have all this code, I can just copy it in by clicking open, pasting it in there, and then clicking load. That'll paste in my map, and then when I want to save it, I'll just literally click save, copy that, and paste it back into the file and save it. Meborn. Did I put a space in Meborn? No, I didn't. How bizarre. But yeah, so this is basically, it's a very easy to use tool, but it is good just to give yourself a bit of an overview of how your railways are looking. So with that in mind, we'll go back to the game and we'll have a look at what we can do next. So I am going to create still a 0.5 part, and the 0.5 parts basically will only serve to change the existing infrastructure. In point 5 parts, I may add bus routes or railway or trains, sorry, but I'll only be kind of fiddling with towns that we've already covered. I won't be building any new railways. I may be editing existing railways, but yeah, I won't be building any new railways. I'll just be adding trains and increasing capacity and such as forth. So that's what I'll be doing in the point 5 episode. But for this episode, because I did build that originally, we'll build another line. So we'll look at another railway that we can create. And as I did say before as well, so if we look at our map here, now, we've got quite a good set of connections down to the west here. So this left side is pretty well connected, to be honest. If we look at where we want to build our next railway, let's bring up the in-game map. It's a case of through here, I believe we could have a branch line across there, but there isn't really much of a need. I would probably say it could be a good idea to build a branch line down here and cover this peninsula, but it only needs to be a very sparsely used branch line. So what we could do is, where can we have this stop? So we'll have it stop here and down a few stations along there, and then we'll have most of the we'll have bus routes which connect most of the other towns surrounding the areas. So let's do that. So I'll flatten this land and we'll turn this station into a junction. So actually, what could be a good idea is this, look. Why don't we create an extra platform here and use the techniques that we learnt from the Nunnington station to have a platform which is only used by trains which service that branch line. And then we'll just have a quick passing loop there. So if I create this on here, like so, and I'll add a signal there and a signal here, get rid of that one. Oh, I'll need a waypoint for this, won't I? So let's pull that down there. Okay, that's looking good. So what we'll do is add 2 waypoints. Mething Pool Peak Line and Mething Pool Branch. And then what we'll do is the trains which service Mething Pool currently, we'll tell them that they have to use, they'll have to use Mething Pool Peak Line. We'll just add that into the timetable. Like so. Whoops. So then we'll have an extra platform which is only used by this branch line. Like so. A train would use the station at the very moment that I need to use the platform around it. There we go. So we have a branch line platform, which I think is a very good idea. Right, so that's fine. What we'll do is create these as passing loops. And we'll just create maybe only use 2 trains on this route, so nothing overboard. Get rid of that. And we'll just make sure there's a service running down this line. So it does mean that as we run bus routes to it, we have a way of quickly getting people to the major cities where they may want to connect on to other services. So we'll have it run through Lenningville. No Lenny faces here. This is Lenning, not Lenny. Have the platform on the closer side to the centre of the village. Then run down this coast. Get rid of this road and have the station here. So the stairs and a bench. And around here we'll need a passing loop. So, where can we have this loop? So a terminus should be down here somewhere. So maybe this section here. So as it approaches Grentbourne, we'll change it into a double track system. And we'll have that continue to the next station. Just down to here. In fact, we'll have it end there. We will take out this road and use that for where our station should be. In fact, no, we could have a double platform there, couldn't we? Yeah, like that. Back into a single track. Through Fenston. And we will have it terminate in Runtberg. Here we go. So buffer stops, single-sided platform, so benches and lights. Then we'll have the stairs again for Fenston. Then 2 sets of stairs. In fact, let's have it as an island platform. Here we go. And same for Grentbourne. Pop some signals in. Only need 2 signals because, again, it's only going to be used by 2 trains. And there we go. We have a very sparsely populated branch line. Let's create the trains that will run along this route. So we'll just use a sprinter with no extra carriages, and we'll have it call at the sidings where it shall not load or unload. Obviously, if you have the trains load in the sidings, it technically becomes a station then, which is the reason that you obviously don't, because it is, the sidings generally are near passengers as well. We'll have it stop in Druidwood, go through Meffingpool branch, and then to Meffingpool obviously, and service all these. Far end of the station in Runtberg Forest. Whoops, not non-stop. And there we go. Let's quickly do that. And our branch line train is on its way. So that's just a quick way just to service as many of these towns as possible along this route. But later on we'll add buses to the peninsula as well, just to connect all these neighbouring towns and such as well. But the train will be a good way to move a large amount of people off this peninsula onto the mainland, where they may want to connect with other services. So what I'll quickly do is I'll just demonstrate how to add this onto the main map. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 stations, and the bottom station ends just after where Flonwood is. So we can draw the route on here. So Meffingpool, just after there, is where it branches off and comes down to about there. So what we can then do is go back up here. So Marnwell Ridge is the first station. So a dot. Let's put it on the opposite side. Marnwell Ridge. Back to OpenTTD. So we have Lenningville. Then Hondingbury. Grentborn. Chaffing Way. Fenston. And Runtberg Forest. We'll just call it Runtberg. So that's the branch line on our map. So let's quickly save that. So let's copy that into our OpenTTD map file. And there we are. So that's how our network currently looks. So you can obviously add different options to this. You can change the width of certain routes, so certain lines are thicker than other ones. There are quite a lot of things you can do with it. It's quite a handy tool, to be honest. So let's speed this down here. And we'll create its timetable as well. Just want this to wait for 5 days in the sidings. Drinley for 2 days, Druidwood for 1. Then you can wait for 2 days in all the other stations, apart from Grentborn. So for that you can wait 5 days. So that can be your catch-up time as well. And Chaffing Way. Fenston. Hondingbury. Lenningville. That factory's just closed down, what a shame. Did it wait for 2 days in Menfingpool? Yes it did, and then Druidwood it waited for 1 day. And we will call this the Runtberg Peninsula, so the Runtberg branch. Obviously that's train number 1 of 2. So Runtberg branch. Have that in there. And I'll just manually set this one off when this one reaches the end of the route. So, I mean, I am quite excited. I do like the terrain around here. So what we'll eventually do is have an express line which runs along this coast and up to this peninsula here, because again there's a few large towns over that area as well. As the game progresses, the towns slowly do grow by themselves, so that's why we're going to see there's quite a few more cities now than there were. In part 0.5 as well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand this. So as I obviously on the last recording said, I'm going to expand this station. I'm going to create this entire line as a 4-track line up to Bootown, as there are quite a lot of passengers on this route which basically want to use, I mean look, 2,000 passengers to Reddingstone, there's a lot of passengers in Reddingstone that want to go to Bootown, so I'm going to make a HST, which is one of these trains, which goes from Reddingstone up to Drinley, which means widening the track here, so down from there, so Parnford down to Reddingstone will be 4-track. So that's going to be one of the projects in part 0.5. May actually take more than a part, because as I did start, I got about 15 minutes in and didn't really get much far enough out of Reddingstone. I only really did a little bit, so it's probably going to be a few parts in itself. Let's watch the speed down here. And set it off there. And there we go. So that's our line. And the forest has also gone. The forest of which is named after the station. Well, we can leave the station named like that in its honour, I guess. But, you know. I also just want to quickly check where these trains will actually line up. I have noticed that I've probably put the passing loop in the wrong place. Yes, I have. Okay, quickly, let's just add a passing loop here. Like that. So if that train was on time, it would probably pass around there. Okie dokie. So, what is our next port of call? We have probably time for one more quick project in this video. I would say it should be a bus project. Wow, Wampool's growing quickly. I think that should be our focus then. Where do people for Wampool want to go? Everywhere is the answer. Bloody hell. Bootown again. Meeborn. How many want to go to Flondwood? I was kind of hoping I could do that. 36. It's not much, is it? Flondwood. 471 passengers. And where do you want to go? A lot to Wampool. Well, that's justification enough for me. Let's make a bus route through to Flondwood. So, I was going to use Hardtown Forest, but I can't do that. So what I'm going to do is, let's have a look. We'll have the bus route come up here, service this village here, and then go from there down to Flondwood. But we could also use Meffingfield here, couldn't we? So let's do that. We'll put a bus station there, one here, but no, let's put it there, one there. And in Hardtown, what we'll do is demolish that building and create a new route. So, let's create a vehicle. Make it a Macmillan Panther bus. Doesn't have to be anything that holds a lot of capacity. Create our route. Away we go. Autofill, please. And we'll call this the Flondwood Flyer. In you go. Let this complete its route. Because again, it will mean that Flondwood will then service as a connecting station to the villages that surround it as well. There you go. Back around. Might as well start filling in the route. 3 days in all of its stops. And it's heading back to Wampool. Great. Let's create some clones of this vehicle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 vehicles? No. 5, 1, 2. Let's have 4 vehicles in total. I'm going to wait for it to get away from that station. Then skip and go back to the start. Control start date. End of September. Pause and check the other vehicles. Doing the same thing again. Right, okay. Send you back to the depot then. So I've got this persistent problem, it would seem, that every bus in the timetable, for some reason, it just doesn't set them right. Okay, so let's remove you. Create you again. And now if we start with this one and give this one a starting date, let's say October 11th. Pause it, so yeah, October 11th, November. Yeah, okay, so that one works. You can depart. And then we have to depart that one there next. Hopefully no buses come behind this one. If I set it off now... Oh, no. No! Oh, no! It's going to make them all late. Shit! Get out of the way! Oh, no! Oh, well, I'll set that one off. Why not? Go! Please! Oh, it overpassed it. That's great. And that one's waiting there. Oh, no, I hate this. It's got to be so much post-traumatic stress. Ugh. Okay, so minus a few delays to this other route, we have a successful bus route established which services Flondwood, and hopefully we'll build a few of these villages along the side of the railway as well. Right, that was quicker than expected as well. So we've created a new route in Warmpool. What we will do is just actually create a road there just for it to expand upon. How's the rest of the network doing? So Prodding Pool Falls is growing quite well. Reddingstone is growing very well. So again, in the next like the next half of a part, we'll redo this railway as well. And yeah, to be honest, I mean, I think that brings to a fair conclusion for this episode. I mean, eventually what we'll do is, so in the next parts, we'll start looking at, not necessarily creating, but looking at the railway that we'll put up the north coast, because that looks to be the next step that we'll take. So we'll look and plan out where we're going to build our next major route. Obviously, after that, we'll execute that route, which will probably be in the same part. But between that, as our network is becoming ever increasingly bigger, we will have half parts where we'll go over and look at minor tweaks we can make to the areas we've already serviced. I've been Zess Husky. Thank you very much for watching this part, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future.